We have all been hearing of this term over the last few decades and more of the term Rama Rajya. Gandhiji has also spoken about it a lot. But what is all this Rama Rajya? Why is Rama Rajya an important aspect of good governance? And it's mentioned everywhere, including in the Constitution of India. There's a particular drawing of Rama Rajya as being for good governance. But what is all this is what we'll see over the next few minutes. So, if you take the text of Ramayana in this particular Kandam, that's a chapter, right? It's called Ayodhya Kandam. There is a particular conversation between Rama and his brother Bharata when he comes to take his Paduka. But before that, there's actually a lot of dialogue happening. That is what we'll be seeing for some time now. And this particular dialogue is called Kaschit Sarga in the text. Sarga is obviously a portion, Sargam, Sarga, and Kaschit is all about questioning. The idea of questioning is all about that. So, what are these questions? So, Rama asks his brother Bharata, do you do so? Does thou do so? Do you do so? So he's asking him specific questions, very pointed questions, so that he doesn't get the answers there, but he only asks questions in such a way that it is guided to make a person think, where the answer is also clear in the way of the questioning itself. That is the beauty of it that we will see in this Kaschit Sarga as we go along. So the questions, as I said, are being asked by Rama of Bharata, but the answers are not there in Valmiki Ramayana. Only the questions are in Valmiki Ramayana. The answers for this actually are dealt with elsewhere, like for example in Kamba Ramayana, Kalidasa's Raghuvamsa, Tulsi Goswami Tulsidas Ramcharitra Manas, and so many other texts have got answers to these questions. So what we have done is we have been able to collate all these, first the questions from Valmiki Ramayana and the answers given by the other great authors of Ramayana in different languages of the land, and collected both the question and answers, which we'll be sharing with all of you here today. That in essence is what gives us a perspective, an understanding of what Rama Rajya is, because that's a question that we asked at the beginning for good administration. See, obviously, this all happened. There was a body of management principles with various rishi, and the event of Kaschit Sarga, the questioning happens around the year 5089 BCE. That puts it about 7,100 years ago. The details of which, why we come up with this date, is in our book, Historical Rama, for you all to read later. So there, Rama, before this event of Kaschit Sarga, happens to meet this great rishi by name Pushkara. And Pushkara discusses this body of management principles with Rama. So Rama has that knowledge already in him, because he already discussed with an earlier scholar by name Pushkara, who in turn has received it from a body of earlier rishis. So that work is called Pushkara Niti. With that in mind, here Rama asks this question of Bharata before offering him his Paduka. And this, while the chapter in Ramayana is called Kaschit Sarga, for common parlance, it's also called Rama Gita. Incidentally, there are many Gita. Bhagavad Gita is one of them. In Mahabharata, so there are 3 or 4 Gita. In Ramayana, also a few Gita. This Gita is called Rama Gita. And this is actually also discussed between Rama and Lakshmana as they go along the next 10 years in different parts of the forest. So there it's called Ramokta Niti. This is discussed between the two brothers substantially on skills of how to run a kingdom, how to manage an organization. Because in those days, you could have it to run a kingdom. But in these days of business enterprises, universities, corporate environment, education institutions, government, etc., many of these principles are applicable and usable in today's context, where Rama Rajya can be put in practice in actual. So that's what it is. So this is called Ramokta Niti. And
all of this you can trace back to Agni Purana. So now coming to this part, how do they all trace back? It's very beautiful. So to understand that, first you have to understand what do we mean by the term. So when we normally come across the term Arthashastra, so this is actually not just a book, but it's a class of work which are predominantly focusing on business, trade and commerce, like he said, enterprise, administration of a kingdom as well, then economics and so on. So they were also called, so this Arthashastra kind of works, they were actually called by the name Rajashastra, Rajadharma, Dandaniti, Arthashastra, Niti Shastra. So they were all works on polity. And they were also called Rajaniti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Artha Shastra. All of these. So these are all common words for conduct in connection with organizations, enterprise, management, and to live as a administered unity, administered entity. So now let's go to Arthashastra, Chanakya's Arthashastra. Now from there, if you see, he says he has taken points from Viduraniti. So you know Chanakya's Arthashastra, Chanakya's times, they are about roughly to less than 2,500 years ago. And he in turn traces it to Viduraniti. Now Vidura is from which time? He's from the Mahabharata period. And Mahabharata period, you can trace it to about 3100 BCE, before Common Era.
That is 5,100 years ago.
From now, before now.
Before present. So that means if when Arthashastra is 2,500 years in antiquity, 2,500 years in antiquity from Arthashastra, 2,500 in antiquity from Arthashastra is Vituraniti. Look at this. We are going back to ancient text of 2,500 years. That text of 2,500 years ago goes back to a text that is prior to another 2,500 years. Look at the tradition of our land that has been able to go back millennia for getting to authentic documentation about our civilization and its way of administering. So this goes back to Mahabharata, Hastinapura era. That is, as Hema said, 5,100 before present.
So Viduraniti, where did Vidura get his knowledge? He was the uncle of Pandava and Kaurava during the Mahabharata period. So where did he get his administrative knowledge? Mind you, he was the very good administrator. He was the counsel. For everything, they would go to Vidura. He is called the Vidura, the wise one. So people referred everything. They would ask Vidura for how to proceed in case of any problem. So where did he get his knowledge? He got it in turn from Bhishma.
His one brother, the generation before him was Bhishma. And he happened to live and study and learn things from Bhishma in person. Who got it from? So look at the lineage, how we are tracing it back step by step, visually for all of us to understand how it goes back by generations. And where did Bhishma in turn get it from?
So Bhishma in turn gets it from this Ramokyaniti. So which we just saw, Rama telling Lakshmana, and also Lakshmana getting some more information from Ravana himself. Mind you, Ravana, despite all the kind of bad image that's created around him, was also a very great king who was loved by his people. He was a great administrator, which is why during the last moments, Rama asks Lakshmana to go to Ravana, pay homage to him, pay obeisance to him, and learn, get some knowledge from
qualities of administration from Ravana. So that is what Lakshmana receives.
So all that is there in this Ramokyaniti. And this Ramokyaniti in turn traces it back to this Kaschit Sarga, which Rama told Bharata, which in turn goes back to the Pushkaraniti. And this Pushkaraniti takes in turn, gets it from all the Purana and the other lineage of wise seers and so on and so forth. So this was what was given to Rama. So from 7,100 years, we can see a clear line of the thought and the wisdom of administration being passed on.
When we are here talking about an academic proceedings here now, we should be able to trace things properly as to where it come from, whom, how, which is precisely what we're doing here, because there is a certain sense of credibility, authenticity of the way this knowledge has come down to us, through the millennia to us to practice it today in our principles, in our taking forth our IKS knowledge. So look at how it, especially in this field of administration management, how it comes down to us.
So all of this we have written in our book Utsav Deepavali, which is there on Kindle, in case you want to read in detail later. So look at, we have had so many models. So you have had a Pushkara model, you have had a Rama model, you have had Ravana's model, you have Bhishma model, Vidura model, and then Chanakya model that we are familiar with. But even here, what happens is you can still go back and trace it further. And this is said by none other than Maharishi Vedavyasa in Mahabharata itself, where there is a chapter on Raja Dharma and Shanti Parva. So that is where he is recounting how these Niti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, and all have come down to mankind. So here he says, he traces the whole thing to Prajapati Brahma and he calls it Raja Shastra Pranetara. And that is where he says you start getting the idea of the Bharata civilizational ethos. Some of the key points, the pillars that have held Bharata's way of administration and governance. And that includes the Purushartha as well as the four methods of Sama, Dana, Veda, Danda, and also the various policies. Now, these four methods, from here, the Danda is where you come to Danda Niti Sara.
So there is a particular work called Danda Niti Sara, as Hema has explained to you, which delineates and explains to us all this beautifully of that era. Now the point is, all of us know that a couple of years back, when the new Parliament of India was built, one of the first acts done was installing the Sengol in the Parliament. The Sengol is a beautiful Tamil word, ancient Tamil word, so auspicious and nice. In other parts of Bharat, the same word is called as Danda, Dharma Danda. So that Dharma Danda, so the Danda which is espouses the principles, that is Danda Niti Sara, the essence, the Sara, Niti, the principles of good living. So that is what, so that itself is the four methods of doing is a Samadana Beda Danda, where you're able to separate. Danda is not just punishment of hitting. Danda is where you can differentiate the different aspects and then do it.
So, Danda, if you look at it, the word commonly way to understand the concept of Danda, leave aside the aspect of punishment, which is an outcome of it. But the way to understand Danda is to think of Map Danda. The moment you use the word Map Danda, which we all commonly use in many regions, we use it by that word, we use it with slight variations. The moment you say Map Danda, it denotes measured. Map is measure. So normally measure goes by some scale. So Danda is a scale. So Map Danda is something that helps you measure. Now, when you talk about administration, governance, and everything, it's all about regulated living, regulated way of operating, measured way of operating. So you have to keep yourself within the bound. See, measure, all of that. Don't look at it as just 1 centimeter or 1 inch. Look at the thought it expresses. So in Indian knowledge system, the fundamentals are to go for the ethos expressed by each word. That is when you will understand the ethos with which it has to be put into practice, the ethos with which it had been applied, and which actually today forms our culture and heritage. So when you say measure, it also means a bound. So living within that bound, regulating yourself within that bound, having rules, having laws, having methods by which processes to do certain things, that is denoted by danda. Map danda actually denotes that. And which is why you find a king has a map danda. I mean, he has a danda. That is to show that he is royalty, but he also administers by certain rules and principles. A sannyasi also has a mapadanda because he also has to live within certain regulated principles of a sannyasam. Everybody, if you see that way, will have a mapadanda.
That's why it's called a Tridandi Sannyasi or Ekadanda. So they all have danda. So that also they have. And every person who does the work, they also carry a measure, a coal. So every work is measured by a coal. So look at so measure. So that's always there. You see, all range of people, whatever role we play, we have our own danda, which we use for our purpose. Like that. Where does this come from? It comes from Shiva himself as Visalaksha. That is Shiva. This idea of doing right with a measurable methodology comes from there. And from them.
So, Vaisalaksha Dandaniti. So, you will often find in many of the danda, you will find, especially from Hampi and also the Chola king, which is what is there in the Sengol. You find this Nandi and denoting the Shiva aspect of Shiva. So, that Dandaniti, because it comes all the way from there, Vaisalaksha Dandaniti. And from there, you trace it to Indra's Vahu Dandaka. So look at this. These are all operating in the realm of Danda, that is coming up with the regulations and controls.
Processes. Because processes very so we are process driven, everything we do. So these processes are not new to us. It's not been given to us by somebody from the West. Processes and system and regulation and how we do our activities is part of an innately Bharata civilization system of working. From there, it comes to Brihaspati.
So Bharaspati and Niti. And then from there, it goes to Shukracharya. You trace it to Shukracharya as a Shukra Niti. Then you have Manu's work, which is called the Manusmriti. So
and this is there in the Chola regime very clearly, because if you look at the ancient Chola work, it's all based on the Manunidi Choran. Beautifully, and this is what you have as a wonderful, great sculpture in the High Court of Madras.
Then you can trace it to Bharadvaja Smriti. Then Gaurashira, then Kamandakiya Nitisara. So like that, so many such different works on administration, polity, control, economics, and so on.
And finally, after thousands of years, it finally comes upon Kautilya Chanakya's Arthashastra. So see how it has come layered by step process of actual practice through humanity, through ages, and comes down to. So suddenly when Kautilya did not come up and write a new treatise, it's come down to us filtered the actual practice.
And he's not the first one.
He himself very clearly says he's collected all these things and giving it a form for that generation of that living of those kingdoms and those requirements. That's the beauty of it. So it comes down millennia before that from the divine themselves so beautifully for us. And that's why we said the evolution of Arthashastra, Niti Shastra works across Bharat. That's the beauty of it.
So actually coming to this here, if you look at it, Manu and the Bharata civilization, we have actually different kinds of leaders. So Prajapati, Manu, and Guru. So the aspect of this kind of regulated living is attributed to Manu, while Prajapati is attributed to skills and technology, and Guru for philosophical, elevated thought, thinking, philosophies, spiritual. Coming down to actual living as a administrative society control, you come down to all the Niti Shastra. So from here, therefore, we go back now, having seen the lineage of all these Niti Shastra. Let us see what Rama actually instructed Bharata with. What kind of information? It's nice to say, yes, we have this. Today, you would have seen, in many of the Artha Shastra and Niti Shastra works, you will see explicit statements on what the kings had been advised then to levy as tax, what to include, not include, which is a reflection of society of those times. So those are very specific points which were valid for that society, which was doing trade You must remember, all this is coming because this civilization has been a very, very prosperous civilization. And this prosperity has come fundamentally because of our ability to manufacture and trade. So these two have really brought in a lot of wealth. So you will find a lot of these Arthashastra, they will have references to the way industry is organized, and the way you're allowed to trade, how much to levy tax, how to weigh, what kind of roles do you need in society, people in the treasury, within the king, with the mines, and so on. You will find in great elaboration. But that was applicable for the society of those times. Now, when you look at what Rama has advised Bharata, you will find something that is at a more overarching way, more overarching area of how do you manage? How do you ensure that you offer good governance?
So if you go back, what happens is this particular episode of Rama talking to Bharata, it's actually 56 questions. We have been able to get out that information, cull out that information from this particular Kashchit Sarga in Ramayana, and then bring it out, list it out to you here now. So there are 56 questions Rama asked Bharata. And the interesting point is Rama doesn't wait for any answer from Bharata, but the questions are asked in such a way there can be only one answer for it. Look at the style of asking is make you think of the answer, keep it to yourself because there's only one answer to it. That's the beauty of the questioning that he has actually. Let's see. The first question is, do you treat with due respect your chief priest who is unenvious that would rebound to your benefit?
So it means that treat him with due respect. All automatically, when he asks, do you do this? It means do it.
So, because he is your correct, knowledgeable advisor. Look at that, what he says. That guru is unenvious of you because you are a student. He is unenvious because of your good growth. He doesn't have envy on you. He is unenvious. And he is the one who's capable of pointing out your faults and correcting your attitude approach where needed. So, do you treat him with due respect? That's the first question. The second one, do you conduct yourself with devoutness towards God's parents, dependent who are dependent on you? Do you treat them also with devoutness? Your elders and your physicians who look after health. Physicians could be of both medically, and people look after your mind and all other aspects. So that when you have devoutness, you will have humility. That calms you. You will not be agitated or excited. That is what. So you need to be healthy both in mind and body, and you need to treat your dependents also with the same respect. That is what he says here. Look, very important point. Third, you treat with deference. Sudhanava. So in your organization, there are some key people who are very good. So they have mastery of the weapons or whichever, it could be bow and arrow, it could be any modern tools that you have, who are very good in science of polity. So they are the key persons in your organization. Have you identified them with positive attitude? They know they are good, but they also demand and command respect. Do you give them that respect? If you give them the due respect, because they know they are good, then they will do well for you. You don't have to do their job. They'll do your job for you. But you need to identify and respect them for their skill. Look at this. This is what, when you speak about delegation, he had said this then itself.
So it's both. They are good technically in their subject. So they are subject matter experts. At the same time, they are also good in the science of polity. So they're also good in conduct.
Look at the fourth one. Have you appointed on ministers, that's your advisors, on whom you can rely on, who are resolute, who have control over themselves and don't get angry. So what is important is integrity. They should be resolute in their purpose. They must have expertise. They must have control over their tongue and know very importantly what not to say. And we say in Tamil, we have a word called ingidam for it. That's a body language. It should be very important. And the purpose of showing this images it is a child who has absolute faith in the mother of doing right for her. Like that, you must have implicit faith. So you may be the king, or you may be the CEO, you may be the leader of your department, HOD, but the people who work for you should have absolute faith in you. That means you should work to create that faith. Have you done it? Is the question. Look at that. It's asked then of Bharata, but valid today. They ask, do you take your decisions after due deliberation? But the people whom you discuss with should keep it confident, because if you have information leak, it's a time bomb. So the people with whom you discuss the idea should be confidential people who will not share the knowledge outside. Otherwise, you have a time bomb ticking in any organization, any area, whatever it is. Look how important it is. Absolutely. Then look at the sixth point he asks. Do you ensure you are not overpowered by sleep, but awake to give your thoughts in the small hours of the morning, so that's when the objectives are best understood. So you should know that you should have your time to understand. That's why the morning time, Ushat Kal, is very important, when you have some time for yourselves to analyze these aspects to come to a decision. Very important.
So basically, what he's trying to tell is that the early morning hours are the ideal for intuitive knowledge to come to you when your mind is very fresh after deep sleep. So please make sure that you use that time so that you get these kind of intuitive knowledge, which as a leader will give you the vision, will give you clarity of thought on how to go forward, how to shape what to do in your work.
That's very important. Look at that. So you also ask, who are your counsel? Is it just one man, or is it many people? Because when you have many people as counsel, what will happen is, too many people, the chance of information being leaked out is so much higher to everybody. So it's important to have a council, but it should be a very small group. So the information doesn't go out to too many people before you take a decision and inform the decision. It should be known only to them. Similarly, when you propose to do great things in life, you should be able to act swiftly and not delay it, because procrastination, that is delaying without taking a decision, could be disastrous. So what is important? You have to plan quickly with a group of people, validate the plan, swift action, like how in the horses. Then without delaying, take the decision. No procrastination. Once you have decided to do it, you don't have any procrastination plan. Then what is the ninth question that he asks of him? Do other kings come to know of your plans only when they have been executed or are in the process of execution, and not when they are yet to be put through? So that is what he says is, your competitor should not know what you're planning and thinking. Because if you have too many people around you, they will quickly get to know what you're doing and they will put into action before you. So the chance of inside leak is very high. So you've got to set up decoy and know what is, and they should know your plan only after it's executed, not before that. He's talking about competition. Look at, very important, the 10th point. Do you or your ministers trust anybody who has not been taken into confidence but can guess or infer the result of your deliberation? So don't have people who are over smart, they're loose tongue, because they can start rumors and be dangerous. So keep only people whom you can trust around you, with whom you can be in confidence. And the 11th one, he asks, do you prefer one intelligent and circumspect counselor to 1,000 thoughtless fellows? Since in critical situations, a wise man may be able to do incalculable good and achieve supreme gains. What does they compare it to? You can have many stars in the sky, but there's only one moon that throws that light, more than all the stars put together that you can see in the night sky. So it is quality than numbers that matter. So for knowledge, acumen, and experience, what is important is that quality gets more important. than just numbers. So there are areas where numbers are important. There are areas where quality is important. That differential we should know where to differentiate what. Then 12th question that's being asked by Rama of Bharata. Do you trust, do you entrust the most important work to the best of your servants? Less important to those who are next in rank, least important to those who rank last. So basically, it's talking about delegation based on capability. This picture we are showing you of Sant Guru Nanak with the Panch Pyare. So how he knew how to delegate only to whom they know what to carry out. So that is like that. You should know whom to delegate what to. Extremely important. And who are the people, 13th question, who are the people you employ in your affairs of state who have been tested and are not corruptible at all and who are pure in word, thought, and deed? Three aspects, they should have no corruption. It's not a corruption in thought, no corruption in word, no corruption in deed. Because credibility at a senior level is more important than competence. That's what he says very clear. Because you see all in today's corporate environment, in today's educational institution environment, these are very important aspects even today. And look at this. He asked 14 question, very important. Do your ministers approve of harrying the subjects of draconian punishment? Because is it good to punish people openly, inhumanly? No. He says you should be very clear when to punish and how little to punish alone, because you send a firm message, but you don't come across as draconian. Very important. And look at this 15th question. Look at this very nice point. What he says, how do you collect your taxes? The way you collect tax should be in such a way, like how a bee collects his honey from a bird, from a flower, without hurting the flower itself. Look at the beautiful way. So you're extracting your work done in a strict and firm way, but without them feeling the hurt. So look at, so tax collection and how it should be done was discussed then. Wonderful example of how a bee collects honey without disturbing the bird. You collect your tax dues. That's without severity, but at the same time be strict to collect. Both are important. And 16th point speaks about intrigue, because it's very important, because in a kingdom, in government, in corporate, lot of intrigue and local politics happen. Be aware of what's happening, because they can vitiate the atmosphere and destabilize a department or organization. So take care to ensure the intrigue never happens.
And you weed them. Don't shy away from weeding out these kind of people of intrigue. So if you find that there are people who are not loyal and who are capable of spreading this kind of bad atmosphere within the organization, please weed them out right away. Otherwise, you will be killed in the whole process. I mean, your whole organization can come down.
This is the 17th question he asked him. Who have you appointed as commander of your forces? He must be from a good family background, solid, stable, outstanding qualities, sagacity, courage, character, capable. You should balance all this. You must be able to balance the personal requirements and the organizational requirements. Goals. That is important. First, you can balance all this well and has good background qualities. That's very important. That's what you check. And what about the 18th question that you ask? See, how do you reward people? Because people have a lot of ego. So they need to be rewarded on a regular basis based on their strength of what they show as their mettle, their capability. So on achievement, so the reward should be directly based on the achievement of theirs. So what they say.
So actually, if you see, it will map to what is there in the Taittiriya Upanishad also. So what Rama is saying about these rewards and achievement, you will find it in the Taittiriya Upanishad, and where you talk about the Panchakosha and how at every level so that is a reflection also further on how at every level you have to satisfy people to keep them happy. Now that then comes back to us again, as Maslow's law in HR, where they talk about people's needs at various levels and how you satisfy them, how you motivate them. So today's management, HR management guideline, which is Maslow's law, is fundamentally coming from Taittiriya Upanishad. And that you can see even Rama talking about it, saying, please reward them, make sure their ego is satisfied, and let them find that sense of achievement. And that is the highest level of reward. Even as per Taittiriya, you get intellectual and identity. So at that point is when you have the highest level of fulfillment. So that you can find it being reflected here also. So you find a consistency. What the Upanishad is saying, people have put it to practice and they are teaching it further down, and that is coming to us as literature. So what you find there is not just some statement somewhere. It is an established practice that's come down to us from generations.
It's also,
and which people of Western civilizations have found valuable enough to take.
Yeah, from our Upanishad and later bring it out as Maslow's theory of hierarchy. It's basically from Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad, that Hema so nicely said. Now, the next point is, look at this. You pay people right for what they are worth and pay it in time, because facilities are important and timely payment is important for good performance. Then,
so today, what is called is, these are called hygiene factors. So it means that in today's management, one of the things they'll tell you is, for people, it is, while you may not reward them, you cannot take away some of the basics. If you don't give them enough of the basics, then that itself will demotivate them. So demotivation is also a factor. So that is called a hygiene factor. So certain things, don't look at them as rewards. They are the basics. They are the foundational guidelines.
And such delays will demotivate them totally. Then what is the 21st questions he asked them? So those are all people who are in line. Are they attached to you personally? Because if their mind is steadfast, they'll even give their lives for your cause. So they should look up to you with pride, and their performance should be beyond the call of duty. That's what it is. Look at the beauty of it. So each point of is being covered. So have you, those who carry your news forward, who are your envoy, are they born in your kingdom? Are they capable? Are the wit? Do they have ready wit? And are they faithful to your mission and not have any discrimination? So they should be native. They should be learned in all the literature of the land, clever, skill, observer, clever in speech, truthful, be able to distinguish between right and wrong, and have the capacity to deliver a message and be firm. So what is the qualities of a messenger, a duta, is discussed here so beautifully. See.
So in present times, this actually amounts to having spokesperson. So today we see so many spokesperson coming up in TV representing so many parties in various arguments. So even there, all these hold good. They have to be witty, they have to be sharp, observant, quick on their feet, quick on thinking, to be able to answer any question that can come out of the blue. So when you say Duta, it not necessarily means like a Hanuman going to Lanka on behalf of Rama. He is also a Duta, but somebody who is representing you in front of anybody else is also your Duta. You meaning your organization, your department, whatever you're doing. So what we are really seeing here is what Rama has told Bharata through all these questions are like educating us on how well we should think through and conduct our day-to-day affairs, especially in connection with running an organization, however big or small.
Look at the 23rd point about surveillance of being spies, so you know what's happening elsewhere around you. Very important. So it's important, and he lists out some 18 important authorities and 15 qualities of those days. But the point is, you be informed of what's happening around you, around your world. Your world is not geographic, means whatever organization you're associated with, what is happening to you in your area, be aware of it. So that's important. And there are 18 qualities it represents. People who are all who know what's there. So the important 15 people for the country. That's for the country. It varies for each organization. Similarly, The 24th one, you watch over your enemies too. Because in today's world, this employee turnover, returns, old friends, gossip, even unintentional leakage. Unintentional leakages. So you should be very wary of what's happening around you. Look at this. Each aspect of modern day management. And he says, just because you think they are good people, they could be silly also. So you don't be aware of pseudo advisors. And be aware they'll keep on arguing with you. Avoid arguments, focus on your work, because that will only lead to disaster for you. Similarly, it speaks about to guard yourself against perverted minds, untutored minds, because pessimists, they keep on complaining, cribbing, whining, and they can misguide your youth. Be careful. Be very cautious about it.
So basically, revolutionary thoughts, which can really stir up within your organization.
So he's talking about, see, Ayodhya, which is their capital of their kingdom. So have you kept it? Its defenses so strong that nobody can overcome it can ever, because the very word Ayodhya means one that is not capturable by war. The very term Ayodhya itself means that. So is that so? Do you have that? And to the people, not only in the city, people in the countryside, where we have tanks, waters, everything, is the soil rich? Are the people well tilled? The cattle good? The wasteland is being limited and there's cultivation. So the rich mines. So you're looking about hinterland, supply chain, procurement, sales, all this should be very good. Look at what thought process we've gone through 7,100 years ago for all this to happen. He speaks about how do you treat those people who are in the villages? You treat them well. The cattle they keep, the trade they do, are they happy about the ruler? So it's important that the people, common folk, look up to you, that you are providing them with prosperity, with policy that keeps you happy. That's very important. So the people who rule should look after the people who they rule. That's important. And do you support such people who are doing good work, removing the obstacles for them? Because there can be a lot of obstacles. So support can be of many ways. One way is to be active, like all this. The second way is passive, where you remove the obstacles from them. Because very important, the moment you remove the obstacles, they'll start working on their own. Should know what their obstacles are and keep removing for them constantly.
So is the obstacle coming from an external source or is it an internal source? So is the obstacle internal, innate to the person themselves because they don't have the necessary knowledge or skill? In which case, what you need to do is invest in getting that person up to speed. The other is if it is outside, then you have to work on removing the extraneous factors. So the clarity of thought that was there then and which is being passed to us, these are like motherhood statements. It helps you in anything, even managing your own family. If your child is not up to mark, then you have to really assess, is the child not up to mark because the child is not able to cope, or are there other factors surrounding things which are preventing the child from concentrating or not having time to do his work? Is he just commuting up and down to school, taking so long? So many such things, even at a family level to a institutional level, you can just extrapolate all these advices that he has given, Bharata.
So I ask, do you uh, look after the women folks' needs? Because they need special attention. Do you understand? Sometimes they are silent, non-demanding, but they are a powerful workforce. You understand what their requirements are, because the moment you understand the requirements and give attention to it, they are a strong workforce for you. So you need to protect them carefully, because they need their space, they need their privacy, they should not be disturbed. Their physical safety is important. So there should not be any discrimination on gender basis. They should feel looked after, then they'll keep working for you all through their lives. That's what. Look, you think these are modern day values? This is being spoken about 7,100 years ago as a beauty, isn't it?
So you're talking about discriminatory and safety for women at that stage itself.
So, talking about what are your secrets.
So the other aspect also brings in the fact from that statement that they were also part of the administration and
Workforce.
your organization and your workforce. So the corollary of this one particular, do you protect your women carefully? And so they are an integral part of your organization comes out right there itself.
So then, so what are your secrets in an organization? There should be secrets. You cannot have them somebody broadcasting them. Literally, like how today is being broadcast on radio. It cannot be. It must be kept with you only the organization, the people who need to know it. And what are your reserves, your assets? Are they pilferages, wastages? Are they being well guarded? Because it's very important that no pilferage, wastage should happen. Similarly, what are the resources? Are you content with them? You need to scale up your resources. What are the inventory you need? What are the assets you need to replenish? These are being discussed. Then,
so basically, he's also asking organizations to aspire, set higher goals, and move towards the next higher goal.
So, very clearly saying, he says, do you get up early in the morning and show yourself well adorned to the people? So, it's important to be up in the morning, and people should see you up physically present in the morning so they know that you are also a smart, capable person. That's part of the Indian psyche to look up to the chief. So, there should be physical presence and a personal interaction. And never get too familiar with some of the staff that you have, because then that will create the familiarity breeds contempt. Your daily proximity. So keep your distance. Very as a leader, you should have to keep your distance so that too much proximity will lead to too many things being told to them unnecessarily. Then your leadership points will go. Similarly, what are your defenses? What are your requirements that are supplied, like money, food, water, all your regular supplies, maintenances? Don't get them to obsolete. Replenishment is very important for it. Then, what are your revenues vis-a-vis your expenditure?
Actually, at this point, what I would like to just draw your attention to is this very funny word, repair. So we normally think of repair as a mending work that needs to be done only in that context. But if you look at old British records, when they are talking about the water systems of the land of Bharat, so they use the word good repair. That means good condition. So in good repair means you have to always keep them maintained, working well. And when they break down, that is when again you have to repair and bring them back into good condition again. So here is where he's saying at all points in time, your entire organization. So when he says defenses, it means all your operations and everything about your organization that gives you the ability to operate. Make sure that they're all in good working order. So good repair is good working order.
And what about balancing your revenue, expenditure, and income? Absolute balance of your revenues, because only then, it's not only at office, it's at home, it's your corporate, everywhere it's important.
So he's talking about making profits then itself. Make sure your expenditure is less than the income. Make sure you have enough savings.
And trust that your money is not wasted on the unworthy. See, spend it only on the worthy, because it's very important to audit it. What you spend, you're talking about audit systems 7,000 years ago. Look at the 41st question. So all these people who are maintaining your forces, people do well for you. Do you spend the money unnecessarily or excessively, or what are your return investment? So keep everything, this expenditure, very important to keep in control on everybody that you do.
So if you already have a person who has got a good record, make sure you try him well before you convict, before you pass his judgment on him.
So it could be a simple turn. So just because somebody says, don't treat them bad, watch out for it, because it could hurt you in the long run.
So now he is moving into the realm of punishments.
Theft, punishment, and all that. So there are a lot of cunning fellows, and they who try to escape punishment, but they need to be sternly punished to get the message across to the society at large. That messaging is important.
So when you say Rama Rajya, it doesn't mean that everything is just hunky dory. It means that you are able to detect and prevent all these from happening. They were thieves all the while, but they were people, good rulers who could rule wisely, who could keep all these curbed because of these kind of mature handling of such people.
At same time, says an innocent person should not be punished. Inquire properly, because some of the officials quietly punish innocent people. Be careful of it. Innocent people, because their tears is
See here,
not
the
good for.
tears let fall by men unjustly accused destroy the sons and wealth of the ruler whose only aim is selfish pleasure.
So very clear about it. Then this is.
So do you conciliate old men, children, and the principal men of learning by giving the first of what would please them, by bestowing all affection on the second, and by speaking to the last in grateful terms? So basically, he's saying how to treat old men, children, and men of learning. So
To everybody, to the last man, so the best man to the last man should be well looked after. People who did something earlier good for also. So that's it's from the range of people should be looked after.
see,
Correct.
the point here, what he's trying to bring out is the people who are currently working are the ones who are actually generating all the wealth for your organization or for a nation and so on. The people who are children, or the people who are in the
Retired.
field of academics, or the people who are retired, or the people who are old, you will look at them as people who are no longer contributing to society, or their contributions immediately are not of worth. But treat them well, because some of them have already contributed. The others, the children, are going to contribute
in
future. So please make sure that you also give them the due attention. Don't focus only on the people who are contributors, current contributors alone.
And look at this one 46 about maintaining your public spaces. And Atiti Devo Bhava, look after your guests well, because they are the one who they have come to you for help. So Atiti Devo Bhava is very important. And public, today we think public space is a new concept brought in from West. We have public spaces then itself 7,000 years back. And
so he says, when you earn, make sure you earn in a very dharmic manner. Do not earn in manners which are not befitting, which are not right, which are not righteous conduct.
So 48. So it comes down to the time of doing things at the appointed hour, because for everything there's a right time, the right place. So you should be able to balance your duty, wealth, pleasure. Everything is important, but know what to do when. 49th, because people will come and say so many nice things. There are a lot of knowledgeable people. There's also commoner. There are also rural folk. You should be able to balance all of them well. They should wish well for you. You should wish well for them. It's very mutual.
So in an organization, he's saying make sure that people at the senior management are also happy and they say good things to you. And at the same time, the junior staff are also able to say good things to you. Then you know, pan organization, everything is working well.
And look at he lists 14 failings of a great king. Atheism, untruth, anger, inattention, procrastination, failure to look after the wise, and then the excessive pleasures. Then you discuss with non-experts, non-maintenance secrets, like that. So whatever they think of themselves above God, short temper, bad taste, not thorough, not take the right advice, indulgence, all this happens to people. So when this happens, he calls them 14 failings, and spreading the resources thing. So then he lists out each one of those failings, what all happens in a kingdom. This is for kingdom, but all the same valid for any land too. So what are the failings of king? Over hunting, wasteful journey, dance, dice, intoxication, excess of music. So excess indulgence, fails a king. And how many types of fortress are there? Look at this. There are 5 types of fortress. All that needs to be looked after. In any organization today, you should know what are your strengths, your durga, your fortress. You should not look after them. Then, as you said, begins with Sama, Dana, Beta, Danda, the 4 expedients. How to do it and who are the people who matter. Each of these have been so beautifully dealt. Then itself, next. How do you safeguard? First is the agriculture, then is trade, then comes everything else.
So all this holds good at a nation level.
Yeah, just finishing. Then process of life. So enthusiasm, control, capacity to think. 3 laws. 6 kind of policy against enemy. How do you act against it? What are the elements of?
So this is what the British used on us very smartly. Divide and rule.
Divide and rule is
Rama is advising Bharata, do this to your enemy.
And British did this to us very unfortunately. We did not.
And Veda, creating war among enemy. They did that to break the Maratha Union Confederacy.
Everywhere, all over. So, what are the 5 types of epidemics you can have? Next. So, then the last 4, we'll quickly deal with it, just a few minutes. So, you must have just select few people with whom you do brainstorming on 1-to-1, and that forms a core group
and
team.
Then together. So, this is particularly important for board meetings and decisions. So, if there are things that you want to pass in a board, he's saying talk to each one independently and then together. Once you get them on board, that is how the word on board, bring them on board.
So the knowledge that you have, and those days it's obviously Rama had only one wife, so but he says this. So your education, your projects, your investments, your efforts, your alliances should all bear fruit.
So please always go back and check and see if all that the steps you have taken have borne fruit, have borne success. Identify the ones that need more attention. Does your mind work in the way I've described, the way that leads to the length of life, fame? So longevity makes a person perform well in a task, initiate reform, and see it through to bear success. So the longer time you spend on something, you're able to see it through to fruition. It holds good for you and also holds good for the people you appoint. You keep on changing the leader, then the thing will not succeed. So, do you walk in the ways of our forefathers, the blameless way, the wise
the elders that who have walked this path and made it a success? So you know what the predecessors have done for you, and follow those good aspects, because they may also committed mistakes. Know what those mistakes are, so avoid those mistakes. Follow the conduct which will do us all good, so we avoid earlier mistakes and take the right path.
So in earlier days, the kings used to be narrated, Puranas used to be narrated to them in the afternoon, so that they know stories from the history and they know how to then lead their lives.
Excessive good food is also spoiled. Just because you're king or a leader, excessive good food, share the good things in life, because excessive good food also spoils you.
So don't keep profits to yourself alone. Make sure everybody in the organization gets a share of all that.
And that is how a person with vision rules, so that he can achieve for oneself and everybody in life. So this is what Kaschit Sarga is all about. It's very transparent. It speaks about all these aspects, where it's for present day new India. All these aspects so beautifully said for present day new India. So you have various aspects of the sort: development, Vikas, Vigyan, Dharma, Rita, all of it we have idea of. So it was not just giving of Paduka. Yes, he did give the Paduka, but what happened was he gave
knowledge with that Paduka.
How to rule the country for next 14 years, because that is the ideal rule. So when you speak about Rama Rajya being ideal rule, which is what Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi spoke about it as and other institutions across the world have taken up this Rama Rajya. We in Bharat, as part of IKS, should know what this Rama Rajya is all about, because so that we can put into practice in our knowledge. Okay. All this knowledge is available in our website, bharatgyan.com, which we'll quickly share here. So that all of those who want can visit our website and so, okay. Just go to the website. So all this knowledge we are already available there. Those who want can visit our website and take this knowledge. It's in bharatgyan.com is our website. Please go there and you can use this knowledge. A range of it we have collected and kept, including this book, Deepali, which we showed from where we showed the first few minutes. bharatgyan.com is our website. You can go there and take the range of knowledge that you want from the different. So this is all our films, articles, books, banners, everything is there for you to use from here. Okay. So visit our website, you'll get our Facebook, Twitter, Insta, everything is available for you to use there. Once again, thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to make this nice presentation to you all.